bit. Couldn't help it.
Jonas Brothers, greetings from your hometown tour. Playing at KC Center October 5th. Get tickets now at HighVTix.com.
Oh, yes.
Mom, Dad's being weird again.
Luscious.
Honey,
So full.
it's just grass.
Oh, it's so much more than just grass. It's a healthier, greener, and more luscious lawn. Yours can be too.
Look at you.
With Kabursky Brothers Lawn Care.
Remember, no shoes on the lawn. Because you're so beautiful.
Call or click today.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru, live and on demand across Iowa everywhere from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy, connected by cellular advantage.
It is Murph and Andy here on Iowa Everywhere, and by everywhere we mean everywhere on planet Earth. Andy, where are you today?
Copenhagen, Denmark. Yes.
Copenhagen. You got a little pinch between your cheek and gum. Copenhagen.
I can't find any of that stuff here.
Really?
It's almost like they didn't mean like Copenhagen, the city, when they named that. It is a shock. I was here 30 years ago after I graduated from Drake, and my best friend and I were backpacking around Europe for 3 months, and we spent a few days here in Copenhagen. One thing that I remember about this place was everybody was smoking. Everybody. Everywhere.
Not dipping, smoking.
Smoking cigarettes. Yeah. I mean, everybody. Not little kids and stuff, but I mean, on the trains, on the bus,
babies,
in the train
everybody.
station, in the restaurants, in every bar, in the hotels, in the hotel rooms, every hotel room where you can smoke. I mean, everywhere. There's smoke everywhere. And now there's none. And
In 30 years, total change.
Which, I mean, it's the same thing has kind of happened to us in the United States, but anybody that's been to Europe before, and I know you've been a number of times, Murph, that's one of the things that you notice, like right away, is like, damn, these people can smoke.
Yeah.
They really poured themselves into smoking. I mean, there were like 19, 20-year-olds rolling their own cigarettes, like advanced smoking techniques. I mean, the
full commitment.
The lessons, I mean, were picked up quick. And it's just kind of gone. And so that's kind of a shock. There are a number of things about this country, much like Sweden, that are just so funny and quirky, but I can get to that in a minute. I won't go on and on, but yeah, I am in Copenhagen. We took the train down from Stockholm, and we were here last night. We'll be here again tonight. Again, I'm 7 hours ahead of you guys.
Jeez.
And then tomorrow we get back on the ferry, and we go to Norway.
And that's kind of the culmination.
Yeah, we spend the rest of the trip in Norway. My mother is of Norwegian descent, and so she's been there a whole bunch of times, and we've
all
had
kinds of street cred when she walks around.
Cousins and stuff like that we've not kept in touch with really. But it's still it's the homeland, and I think every American just about has kind of that. that homeland connection to something somewhere else. I mean, we're all
motherland.
Almost all of us were immigrants at some point, and for some of us it wasn't very long ago, and others it might have been 200 years ago, but you still like cling to that that link.
Where did I come from?
Yeah, and it's not, it's many of it's Europe, or it's Africa, or it's South America, or Central America, or the Far East. I mean, it's anywhere. But you may be as American as apple pie now, and you can't speak a single word in your native tongue, but you still know what your connection is, and who your people were, or maybe one person that came over to the United States, and for us, that that's on my mother's side. My dad's side is a bunch of, Scottish, English, Swedish mutts. But my mom, you can trace her family really easily. So we think that's kind of cool. So we're going to go there and then spend the rest of the trip in Norway.
Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for today's Wednesday's sports and more. Coming up, Nebraska Frost, Caitlin returns, and Jurassic Review, all from Guest House Tavern, North Woods inspired Midwestern hospitality. Now, high or low since our last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
Okay, no doubt Tim Hawkins is having an easier time talking to everybody about their stocks and retirement savings, as that's recovered much of what was lost in the last 7 months since December's high, and things are looking a whole lot better. But he still wants to make sure that you're doing the things you need to do to get your retirement savings in line. You can reach them at wealthcharterretirement.com. I'll go high today. As I said, I'm back to Copenhagen. It's been a long time. Went back to the Little Mermaid sculpture. That's Hans Christian Andersen, which is kind of the famous son of all of Denmark, really. The famous writer wrote the children's stories, The Little Mermaid, and The Ugly Duckling, and a whole bunch of other wonderful children's stories that still stand up today. There's some of those fairy tales, though, that, like, if you read them in their original text, they're dark. Like the Grimm's fairy tales, those German brothers. I mean, this stuff is dark. This stuff has, really ugly, kind of gory endings and stuff. So Hans Christian Andersen, his fairy tales were kind of muted a bit for the more the younger audiences over the years. And to the point now where when you read the original ones, you're like, man, these kids never went to sleep after they heard these stories.
It's a little bit like Disney, but in reverse. Disney movies often start with like the death of a parent or something dark, and then that's where the plot kicks in. But yeah, this is more of a gory ending.
Yeah, there's an evil step parent, which, as Murph, I mean, that doesn't do any favors for the world of step parents who are, could be just as wonderful or better than regular parents. But, they just all had these kind of stereotypes that I think probably came from these fairy tales. That's where they got their start. So we went there. And then the famous Tivoli Gardens is the world's largest amusement park that is inside in a downtown area, like the center of a downtown.
That's an amusement park.
Yeah, it's a great big amusement park. It's totally landlocked. It can't get any bigger, but it's very, very old. It dates back to the 1800s, and the gardens are incredible. There are 47 full-time gardeners that take care of the grounds there. And then there's roller coasters and all kinds of other rides. And, the kids cared about those, but I think everybody else walks around, and it's just, this is such a beautiful, incredible place and so lit up. This is at 10:26 p.m. last night.
That blows my mind. That 4-hour night you have there.
Yeah. I mean, it's so short. Then the sun's back up. The sun sets. This is, right as we're getting ready to leave. There's Skal and I there in front of one of the big carousels. This is like 10:40 at night, getting ready to walk home. I mean, it was 11 o'clock. We walked back to our hotel, which is probably, 8 blocks away. You didn't need any street lights or anything. It was so light. And then, sun finally does completely set. It just barely gets fully dark. And then it rises again about 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you can't tell the young kids in the summer, hey, be home before dark.
No. And in the wintertime, it's the reverse. They just have a few hours of daylight. It comes up about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it sets again about 2. So it's really, really, really tough then. And they struggle, I think, with depression. But we went all around. We went to the palace. So Denmark is a monarchy, but the king and queen, he's a king now, King Frederick X. This is his personal ship that he floats around, go all around the world in. And apparently the kings, the monarchs in Denmark are like amazing overachievers. His mother, Queen Margaret, who just left the throne, I think last year or maybe 2 years ago, at age 85. So she was, one of the others kind of in the running with Queen Elizabeth for being the longest running monarchs, not close to Elizabeth, but she took the throne in 1972 and just gave it up. But she speaks like 8 languages. She has 7 doctoral degrees, doctorates. She's a writer and a painter and a sculptor and a musician. She's a Renaissance woman, and I guess she's really, really nice. And her son was just like King George in the King's Speech, shy, really humble, absolutely did not want to be king. And one of the reasons she stayed on the throne as long as she did, he did not want to be king at all. Just, wanted to somehow pass it to his younger brothers, anything but him. Was single kind of late in life just because he was so just gripped with fear about being the king. Ends up meeting a beautiful woman from Tasmania and marries her. And apparently she just had this magic touch and really kind of pulled him out of his shell. And he is a Navy SEAL.
Jeez.
Again, with the overachieving.
Yeah.
And and he's a marathon runner. And he decides that he's going to do, when he takes the throne, he's going to do like a run with the king day, where he does a marathon and invites the entire country, like Forrest Gump, to follow
Run
him,
with the king.
to run with him. And I guess they go out, they just go out shopping. They go to restaurants. It's not like, the king and queen of England.
Good.
They're kind of regular people, and he runs across the country, and people come out. They had like 125,000 people participated last year.
Nice.
They just ran behind him, but he is still a king, and he's got palaces and an incredible summer home, and we saw all that stuff today. And you can literally walk right up to the buildings. But then he has this ship just sitting out in the harbor. The harbor in Denmark is so clean, everybody just swims in it. It's one of the cleanest countries in the world. They pride themselves on that. They have, we have like a 2-stream recycling in the United States. The Danes have a 12-stream recycling program.
Good luck with that.
Oh man, I mean, they're like sorting garbage for hours. But it's so clean, and the streets are extremely clean. I did finally see one homeless person today. That's the first homeless person that I've seen yet in Scandinavia.
And he was visiting from San Francisco.
Yeah, he might have been. Yeah, he was just here from New York. We went to Frederiksberg Palace, not Castle. Castle is for defense, and
It's a beautiful palace.
the palace is for living and for showing off. This is built in the 1600s. It is considered one of the most beautiful. That's got to be subjective, but certainly the most intact, non-in-use palace in all of Europe. It's huge. It's beautiful. I'm a little museumed out at this point. We've been to a whole bunch. I'm kind of tired of it. I remember getting really museumed out my first trip here.
I think it's good though, because I do come back from some trips thinking, God, if I needed to write a book on pubs and taverns, I've got that covered, but don't know if
you
I
need
saw
a little of
enough
both.
else.
I mean, you want to absorb the culture and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can remember Jim and I traveling around Europe, and after a while we were like, oh God, man, the hell with this. We got to stop at these damn museums. And we would just go, you'd go to a pub, and you'd end up meeting a bunch of people from around the world and fellow travelers. And that's awesome. That's where you really made the lasting memories. But you need to do this stuff too, because it's incredible, and it's so well preserved, and they're so very proud of it. We had an amazing tour guide today on a bus who she just did the right amount of talking. She would let things breathe and let you just kind of drive and enjoy the countryside for a little bit. But then she was always filling you in with, not just history, but, telling you how the Danes live, and what the major differences in this country and in our country. And, they are very, very clean. They're very environmentally conscious, very socially conscious. Everything is, they're extremely heavily taxed, but their taxes pay for everything, all of their medicine, all of their schooling, all of their insurance. If their bike gets stolen, and they bike everywhere, they immediately get another bike within 10 days through the insurance. But she was a real joy to listen to about these palaces, because there are all these little stories, within the big story. And, she's picking it out, and she's just like, yeah, you see why all these people and the kings and, the royal family in the paintings have eyes that are bulging out. Well, back then it was like, you wanted it to look like he had big bulging eyes because people thought you could see right through them.
Oh, wow.
You have this, God-given power.
Yeah, not considered something you want now. Now it's
they just look like the
lips.
ugliest people in the world. You're like, oh God, they must have been so inbred, or like, no, they wanted to do that. Like these teenage boys with these powdered wigs and like their hairline started at the top of their head, and like, these kids are all bald. It's like, no, they would shave that because they thought baldness was a sign of your brain is so big it's bursting out of your skull.
Might be the cutest thing Colin ever did. We went to the barber, and he asked the barber to cut a circle in the top of his head so he could look like Dad. And
I remember that. That was really funny.
He was completely sincere too. Can I get which? So cute. You can't imagine now.
Speaking of barber.
Oh, there you go.
Eddie went to get a haircut today, and he was not having it at first. He did not want to get a haircut. But there's a barbershop right next to our hotel. We're staying at the Imperial Hotel here in downtown Copenhagen, and there's O's Barbershop. This is Ahmed, and he's just the nicest guy. He's got thick curly hair too, so he's like, "It's okay, come in." And the guy, Ahmed, I think he was born in Syria, but he's been here for a very long time. So he speaks in this Syrian Danish, speaks English with a Syrian Danish accent.
Yeah, I got nothing for that.
One of the first ones I've ever heard, probably the last. But he cut Eddie's hair, and then at some point he spun Eddie around. He's like, "Let me see. I want to see how looking so far." And Eddie goes, "I look great." And all of a sudden he was in a great mood. So there's something about getting a haircut in a foreign country. It's just a cool thing.
It is. I agree with that. Yeah,
they do it. They really throw themselves into it. I got one in Turkey. And it was like the greatest haircut ever.
Like the pub and tavern, it is a great place to meet locals, meet people, and get the real stories and all that. We always try to do one touristy thing a day. I mean, that's the bare minimum. Got to do something to recognize that we're visiting this place.
How low will you allow that bar to get? Like
walking through a church real quick.
Waking up in a foreign country, is that touristy enough?
No, that
sometimes?
doesn't count. That doesn't count. Got to do something. My high starts with Sound Off Sunday night. Andy, I know you weren't here, but I told the story.
Well, I've talked to you since then, right? On
yes.
Monday.
Yes. It takes a little bit of a turn here, but a good turn. But I told the story. I was reminded when my sister was here because as a young boy, I had a bad temper because of how competitive I was. I was just hyper competitive. I couldn't take losing. I was a bad sport. And if I lost, I basically made an ass of myself. And it was just because I wanted to do well. I wanted our team to win, but I was really competitive.
It wasn't because of immaturity or
those things too.
Petulance.
It was all rooted in caring too much about the outcome and doing well. Like I was way too into
misplaced
sports.
Priorities.
Absolutely misplaced priorities. And we made it to our local Little League World Series, and we were the Kiwanis. And I'm circled there.
I don't have my reading glasses on right now, but that looks like the 26 Cardinals with Honus Wagner, Rogers Hornsby.
So I've got the catcher's mitt because by this time my goal is to be Johnny Bench. So I'm catching. I'm on this team. We're undefeated. We go into the best of 3 local World Series. And like I talk about on Sound Off, this is just a really different time for Little League. I mean, this is where this and the neighborhood swimming pool, this was the summer where kids congregated. They went to the Little League park, even if you didn't play, that's where you went. The girls were there too. You went to the Little League park, you went to the swimming pool. That was the summer in that community. Little League was such a big deal back then. So it was a big deal for us to be in the local World Series. So we win the first game, and it's the biggest moment of my life to that point because I have the game-winning hit in game 1. Well, game 2, I get up in a big spot and I strike out. And I storm out of the batter's box and I throw my bat down. And the man in the right of the photo, if you have a photo up, Jim Hutchison, he benches me right there and then in that game. Then afterwards, and we lose the game. Afterwards, he delivers the really bad news. He says, "You're suspended for the next game too. You have to learn to control your emotions and you got to become a better sport." And I begged and I pleaded. I cried. I went to my parents and asked them to talk to Coach Hutchison. And they said, "He's the coach. What he says goes." And this went on. It was the longest day of my life. I could not believe I couldn't turn this around. And had I turned it around, I would be like the kids who negotiate with their parents and ultimately get what they want, so they don't learn the lesson. Mm-hmm. But I had to sit there on the bench and suffer because I couldn't play. And it turns out to be one of the most important lessons of my life because I changed completely. And the next year, I won the Sportsmanship Award. And to this day, it remains the award I'm most proud of. I remember reading about that.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah, it was a big deal across the country. But it still means so much to me because I was the opposite of a good sport prior to that. And this one man made a difference. And I told the story, and all these people contacted him. And yesterday through Facebook, he eventually reached my sister, and I'm at WHO 13 and the phone rings and I see it's the Lake County area code and it's Jim Hutchison. And he called and we talked for like a half hour. He's 79 years old. He's been married 55 years. He was, in Vietnam. He's a Marine. Never say former Marine. He's a Marine. And I had the best conversation with him. And what a high. It was just a thrill. I didn't know he was still alive. And then to have a conversation with him. And it also shows you a positive about social media.
It looks like he made his way to a photo booth there. It's like a glamour shot.
It does. It is a nice photo
Showing
of him.
off the watch.
So then I had to do the math of how old he was in the team photo. So it turns out in the team, yeah, he's like 28 years old. But to me, and this is when you're a kid, he looked with the big bushy sideburns back there.
50.
I thought he was much older than that. So I was so happy he's still with us. And we got to, I just got to thank him again, just on the phone for what he did for me. And he also, talked about my parents and how they backed him up on it. And it's just, it's such a nice little moment. And then to have it come full circle and get to talk to him, it was a pleasure. Coach can make a difference. Teacher can make a difference. And if you have a chance to tell them, please do. They always, like he said, he kept saying he was really moved by it. He's like, I never knew if any of that stuff made a difference or if I made a difference. And, just to hear it. And, and he talked about how his grandkids and one of his daughters didn't even know he had ever been a coach. And they, just through this, they found that out. And what a high for me. That was awesome. So thank you.
That's a really good one. And yeah, when I've done that, reached out to teachers and, coaches, people, just parents of friends who, there was some small thing that they did that I've remembered the rest of my life or all of my life. And they forgot about it that day, and then we talked about it and then they're touched to hear that stayed with you all that time. And, you almost feel like, oh, they don't want to hear about this. They don't want to hear this. And why wouldn't they? I mean, who in the world doesn't want to hear a flattering story about themselves, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
They want to hear that stuff. But I mean, yeah, you got to take the opportunity to do that and reach out to those people while you still have that opportunity. And you probably didn't know that you actually had that opportunity. You were just pleasantly surprised.
And then the postscript to it too, and this just does show you how much things change. It seems so important at the time. I couldn't remember what happened in the third and deciding game. So I asked Jim, Coach Hutchinson, I said, do you remember? Because this thing that was so important to me, I didn't remember who won the World Series. And he said, he has a Southern accent, he's like, well, I don't want to give you the big head or anything because I think you could have made a difference, but we lost. We lost back-to-back games.
Well, it looked like he only had 10 guys there. I mean, they were down to, without you, they had even 9. Nobody could get sick.
Right. No one could sub in.
Yeah, you didn't have a deep bench.
Let's get the buzz here on a Wednesday.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Got one today. You can call Logier Heating and Cooling for all of your needs.
And they're glad that they don't live, that they're not here in Denmark.
Ooh.
No one has air conditioning. No one has air conditioning. Like the temperature it really doesn't even get below freezing all that often. It's always between like 35 and 75 here.
Yeah. So you probably don't have a lot of heating either. It's just
how many times have we've done like a 40-degree rally in Iowa many times.
Yep.
That's their whole calendar right there, that range.
Man. Big 12 Media Days are going on, and UCF head coach Scott Frost was there speaking to the media yesterday, and he told The Athletic and other reporters that he never wanted to leave UCF, but he did it to help his alma mater, Nebraska, kind of doing a nice thing for someone who needed it. He said he didn't really want to go. And then when asked what he learned from his time at Nebraska, Frost said, quote, "Don't take the wrong job." Oof. So Scott Frost went 16-31 at Nebraska. Mike Riley, who was made fun of for how badly he did at Nebraska and how badly he fit, went 19-19, just for some perspective there. Scott Frost got $35 million to go 16-31. And he couldn't bring himself to accept some responsibility for that disaster.
He was really the worst of them, right? I mean,
yeah, yes,
since Osborne,
by winning percentage, yes.
I mean, he which is crazy because
we all thought it was going to work.
Well, we thought, eventually it was going to work, kind of no matter what. But when they hired Frost, you just thought, he had done so well in Florida, and he just obviously he was is he a Husker legend? Probably not a legend.
I think he
a Husker favorite.
Legend.
Yeah, I don't know. They have a lot of.
He led him to a national championship.
Okay,
he was a quarterback.
Yeah, legend. Yeah. It just seemed like he had all the tools. Everything was just right there. It was going to be immediate, and then it was going to be not the first year, but the next year. Well, maybe it's going to take 2 years, but the third year he'll get it. Well, all right. The fourth year he's got his guys now. But okay, not the fourth year, and then it was just you were like, oh my God, this is another bad hire.
His best season, they went 5-7 and finished 5th in the Big Ten West.
Yeah, and to be clear, because we're on the record with all this, we presented all of this with. Now, those Nebraska fans that think he's going to return them to the glory years of the 90s, the 80s, that's not happening.
That's not happening.
That's never happening again at Nebraska. But can he get them to a winning season? Can he get them to a bowl game again? Yes, he can do that. They have all kinds of money. It's the biggest thing going in the state of Nebraska.
We thought he could compete.
Great stadium, great fans.
We thought he
facilities.
could compete for a Big Ten title. Compete, not. I didn't think he was going to win a Big Ten title
because he was in the right side of those divisions.
Yeah, he win the West, and then get in there and give one of those teams give them hell in the championship game, and who knows? But it just didn't work. But when you look at a comment like that, when he's, talking about something that didn't go well. What do you do? I mean, I don't think you even go there. I think you just, you don't avoid it, but you just say, I think you say something like, you know what? That was not the right time for me to take that job. I wasn't the right hire. I think you go ahead and just say I wasn't the right hire for that. And then you move on past it. But when you say, hey, I didn't want to leave, like somebody held a gun to his head and forced him out the door, then you look dumb, right?
Well,
I mean,
you're calling Nebraska, your alma mater, the wrong job because you failed there. And I do know, and I'm sure people are going to ask, maybe it's already in the comments, I have heard all the rumors about Scott Frost's time there, but I haven't seen any actual reporting on it. And I don't want to be
incredible, right?
Inconsiderate or reckless with that. Yeah, it is. I mean, there was a time, Andy, you'll recall, long before I had ever actually seen Motley Crue, where people would come up to me all the time and talk about they had heard that I got up on the sink because I didn't want to wait in line and just pissed right into the sink at a Motley Crue concert.
Standing on the sink.
Like,
we were never really sure how that would that even look.
So I know how rumors can work sometimes. So I think that it makes it more likely that some Nebraska writer who might know something actually reports on some of these rumors, but we'll see. In the meantime, we have a quickie poll presented by WCI Pools and Spas in Ames and Urbandale.
Who holds himself less accountable, Scott Frost or former Iowa Hawkeye coach Steve Alford?
All right, these guys both had a habit of coming into a press conference and spreading the blame on everyone but themselves. I mean, Frost, at one point, remember, he blamed hoodies and discipline and
kids that didn't take it seriously. They didn't want it. Yeah.
I mean, Alford did the same thing, maybe still does. I don't know. I don't follow him at this point. But neither one of these guys were good. I don't think it's a coincidence that both of them were star athletes that were on pedestals in their college days. They never had to have a lot of accountability. Both of them could have used a Jim Hutchison in their life to say, when the team loses, we all lose. Don't point fingers. Don't blame. And they both did it a lot. But I think we're more apt to say Alford here because we're more familiar with him passing the blame, passing the buck.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go Frost here because I can specifically remember him calling out his own guys. I don't remember Alford calling out his own guys. I remember him complaining about the team not making free throws and not practicing that hard enough. I can remember him shoving Brody Boyd because he was pissed at him, which to me, that was just, I think we all probably would have felt that same way. I don't know that we would have done it on the sidelines, but, he could not have handled the Pierre Pierce thing worse. And a lot of that was just his own hubris.
He wanted to believe Pierce because he was really good at basketball.
And he didn't want to be questioned about it. He didn't want anybody questioning his word. Look, I said this is how it is. Move on. But I mean, Scott Frost was he was calling out his own guys. And it just really seemed like he was on a sinking ship and he was going to take some of these guys down with him. Damn it. But Alford just totally wore out his welcome. And then immediately the elevator is crashing toward the ground and he steps out right on the ground floor as the elevator simultaneously crashes to the ground. It goes to New Mexico at that point, or is it New Mexico State? I always get those two confused.
And then UCLA. I mean, he
failed upward. Yeah,
he kept failing upward. That's right. At the Big 12 Media Days at Jerry World in Texas, Iowa State clearly is still not over that championship game beatdown from Arizona State.
If you step into this city and don't feel a kick in the gut, then I think you're a fool. And, so I think there's one thing that I loved about this team is everybody sprinted back to the facility in January. Nobody moseyed back. And from a coaching staff, from a player standpoint, I think everybody came back with purpose. And, I don't think anybody was satisfied about what was accomplished a year ago. I think everybody was very proud of some of the milestones that were hit, and I think we learned a lot about ourselves last year. I think the amount of adversity that we had to go through last football season was the most adversity I've ever had to deal with in a football team and a program, and the ability to weather that storm and grow through it was awesome. But there was also some moments where we needed to be better, and we have to get better. And so I think that's what I've always loved about coaching is the curiosity of how do you grow forward? How do we grow greatness forward? And I think that's been the mantra. It's been the mission since we've touched back in January, and it's not just from me, but it's been our coaches, it's been our players, and it's been really a joy to be a part of that with this group. And I've really appreciated the tenacity and approach that this group's really come back and what they've done over the last 6 to 7 months, and a lot of work to do, obviously, and it's all coming really fast for this football team, and obviously the challenge upon it is going to be extremely challenging with the schedule and everything else that comes at it. But I think this group's at least has the lessons learned to be able to handle the challenges in front of us.
And if you're a Cyclone fan, that's why you follow, Jake Brend and Chris Williams at Cyclone Fanatic. That is more than Matt Campbell's going to say at the podium.
What was Jake's question there at the beginning of that?
Not sure, but he got the
Did he
whole
ask
answer.
a question? He might not have had to.
I'm not sure he had to.
There was a little meat on the bone there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you get none with Campbell. The game that we used to play that Andrew would expertly put together, where
yes,
he would give you an answer. You had no idea what
year,
game he was talking about, what year it was, what point of the calendar it was. Yeah,
sometimes couldn't tell if it's a win or a loss. Yeah, and the players too, like Jeremiah Cooper. He was saying, if you can't be fired up after getting humiliated on national television in the championship game, I don't know what to say. So that was also candid. So good job.
Well, they did. I mean, they did respond, and they had a bowl game.
Yep.
And we were real concerned about that, even though we knew that Cam Ward wasn't. We were surprised he played at all.
Played the first half, right?
Yeah, played the first half. They definitely could have used him in the second half. But the Cyclones came out and played hard, and I think the fans all had a good time with that bowl. It's a benefit to having a bowl game in a season like that.
And I think the Cyclones were leading at halftime with Cam Ward in.
Yep,
if
they
I'm
were.
not mistaken there. Also, speaking of the Pop-Tarts Bowl, big reveal. The 2 surviving Pop-Tart mascots are headed to Dublin. So they will be there in Ireland, as if you needed another reason to spend $10,000.
Who's the Iowa State guy that's actually bigger than the Pop-Tarts mascot?
That is a big dude.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a big dude, man. Those mascots are headed over to Dublin.
That mascot could wear a costume of him.
Matt Campbell also got a lot of attention for a quote that our top 20 guys took a pay cut to come back to Iowa State. And I think it's being misinterpreted. Matt Campbell's not saying they're making less money at Iowa State than they did last year. He's talking about the program, other programs.
Less than he could have made.
Yeah, they could have gone somewhere else and transferred and made more money than they're going to make at Iowa State.
Which is
also,
that's another one of those things you want somebody to just be able to find out on their own, and you don't point it out.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, like, oh, okay. You made a sacrifice for me.
Yeah, the loyalty speaks for itself.
I guess I have to be nicer to you, or so. It's just like that. Like you there's at some point that bill is going to come to the table, and they're going to call you on it.
One more positive here on display at Big 12 Media Day: the Cyclones helmet. What an upgrade this is!
Does it have a stripe down the middle?
I think so. It looks like it does on the top, but just it's so much more unique and identifiable than the big I State on the side. I realize that's the overall brand, but they're the only Cyclones.
Right.
Lean into that and don't put a bugle. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I like that. Are we changing red again?
Might be the lighting. It does. It's
I
a
can't
dark.
tell.
That's a dark red.
There's a Danish. There's a Danish reflection.
It's cardinal. It's supposed to be cardinal, right? Cardinal and gold.
Well, I mean, who's cardinal? The Stanford Cardinal is bright red. The St. Louis Cardinals are bright red.
It's whatever
The
Matt Campbell
Louisville
wants.
Cardinals are the Louisville Redbirds, I guess.
It's not a black helmet. That's a win. Just.
But
take
there's
that
going to
as
be a
win.
black helmet.
You could bet on that.
Damn tootin'.
Interact on YouTube. The email is Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy. It is all powered by Cellular Advantage, now with 35 regional locations and proud partner with U.S. Cellular since 1993.
Very easy to travel abroad with U.S. Cellular and Cellular Advantage.
You would know.
One step thing. Yeah, very easy. Very satisfying.
Caitlin Clark made her return today. It did not go well. The Valkyries had at one point an 18-point swing in the first half, down 9, then up 9. But the Valkyries
Kate Martin
of
playing
Golden State,
soccer there.
Looks
like a soccer uniform.
The Valkyries jersey does look like a soccer
sleeves.
kit. 80-61, Golden State in Indianapolis. By the way, if you didn't know that, 19-point win for the Valkyries. And what did Kate Martin do in this game? She had 5 points and 0 assists. Caitlin Clark looked a little tentative. She didn't quite look completely comfortable out there. I guess that's to be expected after being out a couple of weeks. She had 10 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and a 19-point loss for a team that, AD, do I have this right? Now goes back under 500?
Yeah, that's right.
9-10.
Yeah, what's going to ultimately happen with this team? I mean, we're deep enough into the season where I'm not sure they're going to get this worked out, right? I mean, are you?
Certainly not sure. They
record sucks.
They played really well for a few games without Caitlin, but then dropped a turd in the Punch Bowl Saturday night against the Sparks. Today, they score about 9 points fewer a game without Caitlin, so they push the ball more, better pacing. She didn't quite look like herself out there, but the Valkyries win by 19 points.
I will say, I have not had anybody ask me about Caitlin Clark in Sweden or Denmark.
Really? Okay.
That's the first time this has happened anytime I've been out of town. I mean, I told you about it when we were in New Mexico and regular Mexico and, all of these other travels. And you've had people in, I think, in Europe. Right?
Japan.
Did somebody in Japan ask you about that?
Yeah, and was wearing a Caitlin Clark jersey. It's crazy. I know. But yeah, maybe this maybe these games being up or being out these games has changed that. Angel Reese is on the cover of NBA 2K26. That is the WNBA edition. She also debuted on this cover her Reebok Angel Reese 1 signature shoes. So those are out before Caitlin Clark's jersey. I don't know what goes into something like this. Angel Reese is a good choice to get attention, and she has many fans and many followers. If you can have Caitlin Clark, anybody takes Caitlin Clark just because it has been proven people will buy anything that has her name on it or she's associated with in any way. But I don't know how this kind of thing is decided or if it's negotiated. If you have to agree to be on the cover, is that person paid? How much? I don't know about that stuff. So I couldn't say for sure, but I do know that if you're NBA 2K, you're satisfied with the amount of attention this has gotten today.
Yeah, but it still doesn't make any sense to me. And, I think many of us have been laboring under the belief that there's some sort of conspiracy there to, keep Caitlin Clark down or not make the most out of Caitlin Clark. And we thought that it was, there were only two parties involved. There was the WNBA and maybe ESPN. Well, apparently it also includes EA Sports now too, because they're doing this. It just keeps spreading. So why would they do this? Reebok, this makes perfect sense because Reebok did this to Nike back in the 90s, where Nike was sitting fat cat on its Michael Jordan money and they were getting lazy, and then Reebok went out there and just started grabbing guys and, coming out with the pump and, innovative shoes, and they grabbed a chunk of that market, just catching Nike napping. And Nike has been, first of all, Nike has had a horrible year. They've had a terrible year, money-wise.
And they're sitting on a gold mine as soon as they release the
What are they
shoes.
doing?
I don't know.
Even if they don't release the shoes.
Christine Brennan's book
release a shirt.
Would strongly support that they're scared. They're scared
release
to
a pair of shoes. But when you're losing money and you're desperate for money, which they should be, it doesn't matter how rich you are. If you're not making as much money as your stockholders expect you to make,
capitalism,
you get desperate. Okay, you act like a desperate company. And even though they are dying for something big right now, they're still sitting on the shoe, which you're like, okay, I understand why you sit on it for a little while. It looks like they're like trying to ride out the clock. Mm-hmm. You don't know how much longer you've got of her. At this point, you don't know what else you'll get from her this season or how good this team will be.
And I don't know the process of EA Sports. Maybe somebody does. Can they just say Caitlin Clark is our cover star? Because if they can, absolutely you do that 10 times out of 10. If you can't get her, then Angel Reese makes some sense. And I get that. And I do think there are a lot of Caitlin Clark fans and supporters out there that are not doing Caitlin any good by constantly looking for any opportunity to trash Angel Reese. Angel Reese is playing really well right now.
Well, they're not doing Caitlin any good for, just constantly looking for something to be pissed about. And, it's just not worth it. But Angel Reese is an absolutely polarizing player. There is nothing general audience about her. Okay, there's nothing. There is.
Well, and she has leaned into that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You look at the players that EA Sports has put on the cover of this in the past, and there's not a lot of rhyme and reason. They've had big stars. They've been black and white. They have been generally one of the biggest stars in the game that they haven't had yet. And no one in their right mind would think that this should be anybody but Caitlin Clark. And if there is some reason why you can't put her on there and you're EA Sports, you got to leak that out through some back channel. Be like, hey,
yesterday,
Mike, you didn't hear this from me.
She turned it down.
We wanted to put her on here. She turned it down, or we can't put her on because she's got some contract with Nike that, Nike controls all this kind of. You got to leak that out, right? Through the media.
Absolutely.
You leak it out air it out through the media. You send that ship like ahead. Like it arrives first, and then you come out with the release of the cover.
Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence is where good things come together. Andy enjoying a beer at 9 p.m.
It's not a Confluence, but John Martin would approve. I'm going local here. This is a Carlsberg. Carlsberg is the brewery in Denmark. Yeah, love Confluence. I could go for some Confluence. Would love to have it. Can I tell you a really quick beer story? So I'm here.
He's waiting, and we still have to do more.
I know, man, but just come on, just give me
just
humor me for a second. I didn't do that. I did not. Look, the Moore team is on vacation. I'm not, but the Moore team is. The Moore is not going to be that great.
I think it'll be good.
So, but here's a good story. So we're here in Copenhagen, me and my one of my best friends for life, Jim Georgia. And we are so sick of each other. I wanted to kill him. We had like 3 full-on fist fights during that trip. Got in a fight in the Uffizi Museum in Florence.
This is 30 years ago?
Yeah, guys with machine guns told us to stop. Ooh. And so, but anyway, we're in Copenhagen, and I'm so sick of him, and he's sick of me. But we go out drinking, and we're way into the Carlsberg, and there's a Carlsberg Elephant Extra Strong, which is almost 11% alcohol. I think Carlsberg is probably 5.5. So, but we're drinking that. Wasted. So just, stupid knee walking drunk at the end of the night. We go home, or as we're walking back to our hotel, there's a hot dog stand out on the road. And as I was telling you on Monday, you don't play around with foreign sausages. Okay, you don't. you don't. If you don't know the sausage, you got to walk away.
Yeah.
So
you don't know what's in that.
But we're hungry. So we were like, oh, you got chili dogs? Well, sure. Denmark would probably have great chili dogs. Wrong.
Getting worse all the time.
Oh my God. So, and Jim eats like 3 of them, and they're disgusting. They look like a breadstick from Olive Garden, hollowed out in the middle. They take this squeezy bottle of like chili ketchup shit. It's just
fake chili.
Fill the whole thing. Fill this tube like it's just a tube. It's a hole down the middle of a breadstick. And then they take the hot dog, which is just this flimsy, flaccid wiener, and they stick it down in the hole in there. And it's disgusting. It's terrible. And so I eat one of them. Jim eats 3. And I'm like, man, he is going to regret that in the morning, but I don't care because I'm sick of him.
Yeah.
And we get up in the morning. We're putting on our big ass backpacks, and we're going to Oslo, I think. After this, we're going to get on the boat and go to Norway. And so it's a long day, and we're up kind of early. And I look over at Jim, and he's so hungover. But I'm pissed at him still. And I think I get a thought in my head. I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't do that to him. I'm like, no, man, I'm so sick of him. I'm gonna do it. So I look at him and I go, I just wish I didn't have those chili dogs last night. And he shoots me like this go to hell look that could burn a hole through a concrete wall. He's like, man, shut the F up. And the blood drains out of Jim's face.
Here it comes.
And he just turns around, barely makes it in the alley. I just hear him over there just going, and he pukes this disgusting mix of malt liquor and awful chili dog.
You took out a contract hit on him.
He was so sick. Oh, we laugh about that today, but I got to find a chili dog stand tonight. Take a picture of out in front of it so I can send it to Jim. All right, that's my beer story.
Let's get some more.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
I could go for some either or. Oh man, I Scandinavia is beautiful. It's got a lot going for it. Food is not one of the things. I mean, really. Foreign countries have some good food, but for the most part, they've got food it's just not quite right. Sometimes you run into a real winner. Most of the time, you're like, okay, that's good enough. Not an either or. It's always good. Des Moines police officers are now allowed to show most of their tattoos while they're on duty. That's a shift from the department's longtime ban on visible ink. The change is part of a growing national trend among law enforcement agencies aimed at modernizing appearance standards and improving recruitment. You can understand it might be kind of hard to be a police department and trying to staff it full of young officers, and you have a ban on ink. When so many people have tats now.
I think it's the majority of young people. It certainly seems like it to me. And it does make me wonder, is it going to swing back again? Because you know how it always starts in young rebellion. So what happens in 10, 20 years? Does it swing back again to young people don't get tattoos? I don't know.
I have heard a lot from people recently. I've heard a number of recent stories of people talking about regretting their tattoos. I've also heard some stories of people having tattoos removed and what an awful process that is. And that's made me feel a little bit better about never having a tattoo. I don't have anything against them. Murph, you and I are kind of on the same page here. Andrew, I think you too. It's all three of us, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't decide what to get.
Yeah, it's the old
I don't
saying.
know what would I get?
It's a permanent reminder of a temporary feeling.
Yeah.
in
Great
many
line.
cases. So if you can come up with something that's not temporary, I think people do that too. Their family crest, or something from an origin, or their kids' names, or their wife or husband's name, those kind of things. Although Winona Forever became Wino Forever on Johnny Depp.
Yeah, which was that would have been a tattoo he would have gotten anyway, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, sure. So Chief Michael McTaggart approved the changes in late April. They still can't have a head tat, a face tat, or tats on your hands. Except you can apparently have the wedding ring tattoo.
Oh yeah, I know many people who have that.
But isn't that covered by a normal wedding ring, or do you just
some people
just
just have it as that's their ring. I mean, it's
Hassel should get one of those. I think he's lost like 2 or 3 wedding rings. He takes it off at night, like puts it in his watch, and you're just like
he does.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah,
okay.
He's weird.
Yeah.
All right, you no longer need to take your shoes off going through security at the airport.
Thank God.
Yeah, it has been almost a quarter century since Richard Reed, a.k.a. the Shoe Bomber, boarded American Airlines Flight 63 with a homemade explosive in his shoes. Homeland Security says this was always necessary, but the screening technology has advanced over the years, and they can now scan your shoes along with the rest of your body.
It does feel like one of the all-time overreactions to one incident. And it did you ever feel
but
like
it was at a
nobody
time
can possibly crack through here if they're motivated?
Well, but it was at a time where like there was no room for mistakes. I think this was after 9/11.
It was, but when was the Shoe Bomber? When did you say when that was that happened? It's got to be 20 years ago.
I think it was like I think it was 2000. Was it 2001? Was it right after 9/11? Yeah, so
on high alert.
It was at a time when they were like, whoa, we were supposed to already be on high alert, and this happened, so we got to take it up a notch. But yeah, and then it was like it got weird because if you have TSA pre-check, then suddenly you don't have to take your shoes off, or if it's a kid, they don't need to take their shoes off. And you're like, okay, well, if I'm a really committed bomber,
yeah,
I think I could get a TSA pre-check or put it in my kid's shoe or something. But anyway, you don't have to do it anymore. Don't have to worry about it. Hey, how's everybody doing with Amazon Prime Day? Is that okay? You doing
That's
okay?
Going on now?
Any shopping? Oh, you haven't noticed?
Yeah. No, I haven't noticed.
A lot of boxes coming to the
You
house.
will.
Okay.
Yeah, like starting tomorrow,
notice?
probably.
Okay.
Yeah, you will. I will say, I'm still able to shop abroad. Still getting the notices on my phone. And there are tons of Amazon Prime Day ads in Sweden and Denmark. All those electronic ads, they're everywhere.
It's worldwide.
Well, I didn't think it was worldwide. I thought the Amazon was just like an us thing.
No.
Well, really? I mean, they have like...
They're in a bunch of different languages.
Send that shit all over the place that quickly?
Yeah.
You're in Zimbabwe and you can get to...
Send a drone in.
Get an oven mitt tomorrow if you want one.
Maybe today.
Yeah. Sometimes it's today. Like in the big cities, they have those little drones that drop that off. Last year, whole milk sales rose for the first time since the 1970s. Good?
Yeah, that's...
Why? You don't drink whole milk. You don't give a shit about whole milk.
That's the best tasting milk.
Do you drink this?
No, I don't really
Yes
drink
or
a
no,
lot of milk.
Murph?
No.
You gotta chew it.
I love whole milk. Now, but I mean, okay.
I don't drink any milk, but if I was going to drink a milk, I'd want it to be whole milk.
I hate skim milk. It's like white water.
It is.
I drink 2% milk, and I don't drink that much of it at all. But I love whole milk, and I'm seeing it more and more. And there are, some of the health benefits. There are apparently some health benefits to the omega, the fatty acids that are in or something. But it's still like I was looking it up today.
Just find what works for you.
It has so much more cholesterol and fat in it. I mean, if you are on any sort of a diet, I mean, this does not make sense. Come on,
just put a little splash.
What are you thinking of? Yeah, a little splash. But look, I mean, it's one of those things where I would love this to be true. But it just can't possibly be. A couple of things going on. So plant milk consumption is down. That's found to be so highly processed. Also has a lot of sugar in it. Almond milk and that, a lot of sugar. And you know, Murph is somebody that watches what you eat. A lot of times when you're sacrificing fat, what is being replaced to make the diet thing taste better is more sugar is coming in there.
Yeah, and chemicals.
Fat. Right. So you're really kind of trading one thing for another. A man walking on Switzerland's Fee Glacier crashed 26 feet into a hidden ice crack or crevasse, trapping him deep inside. Man, that's scary shit.
Yeah.
There's like movies made about that. It's awful. But he was walking his Chihuahua at the time, and it didn't fall through the crack, and apparently he had some nice long fur. Yeah, there's a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Chihuahua, as Chihuahuas do, as anybody that has one, this thing just barked incessantly, like didn't stop barking.
And it's a loud bark for 8 pounds.
Yeah, like a rescue helicopter heard the thing and like heard it barking.
Wow.
And saw it, went down, rescued the dude because his tiny little Chihuahua did not break through.
Way to go, Chihuahua.
I think that's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
First of all, who's like, yeah, I'm going to go for a big hike on this mountain. Where is my Chihuahua? You take a St. Bernard, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
don't take a damn little
Take a
rat
dog
like
sled.
that.
Yeah, Chihuahua's not pulling a dog sled.
Did we just get a Spanish message here, Andrew? What's going on here? What is
Yes.
this?
Oh, I feel confident that you should have that interpreted before you post it.
What?
Go ahead and delete
It's,
that comment.
it's somebody
delete
like
that.
fishing us, isn't it? All right, let's finish up with a quick round of two truths and a lie.
You, sir, are a liar. Liar, liar, your pants are on fire!
Two truths
Okay.
and a lie.
Haven't played this in a while. Two of these things that I say are true. One I just made up. You tell me which is which. All right, guys?
All right. Got it.
Scandinavia is made up of 5 countries: Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland. The population of Copenhagen proper, is under 1 million people, but there are 800,000 bikes in the city. And the Danish word for speed is fart. F-A-R-T. 2 truths, 1 lie.
Oh, man.
The lie is the 800,000 bikes.
Okay?
I mean, the fart seems like a lie, but that's too good. I'm going to go with whatever the first one was is the lie.
Scandinavia, the countries.
Yeah.
Andrew, you're right about that. I actually got this wrong. I thought Scandinavia is only Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Finland is not part of it.
Okay.
Iceland is not.
Wow.
Even though they've all got flags that are very, very similar, indicating just how closely related they all are. Finland, even though it's directly connected to Sweden and Norway, not part of Scandinavia, the Scandinavian peninsula. And Iceland, just off the coast of Norway there, not part of Scandinavia. Just those 3. That's it. 2 truths and a lie.
Grimaldi's fan photos, Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. Send in your photos for Grimaldi's coal-fired brick oven pizza. We'll give away a $50 gift card this Friday. AD, who do we have here?
Yeah, this is Aaron from a few weeks ago. He won, and this is he and his family enjoying that gift card at Grimaldi's, and they said they had a great time. The pizza was fantastic, and they thanked
I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law yesterday. He lives in Brooklyn, and he was talking about just his favorite pizza place in Brooklyn is this place under the Brooklyn Bridge. It's called Grimaldi's. And he talks about how long the line is to get in there, and it's just impossible to get in if you're not planning ahead. And I was like, hey, yeah, we got Grimaldi's. They're with us.
Same Grimaldi's.
He thought more of me. Yeah, it's the
should.
franchise.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to fart right along here. It's time for Mr. Movie.
It's time to go to the movies with Mr. Movie, Mike Woody, presented by P&P Small Engines.
Mow more often, mow less height with P&P Small Engines. Welcome, Mr. Movie. Oh no.
Oh man.
Oh no. Andy is in Copenhagen.
Okay, there.
There you go. All right, Mr.
Trying to
Movie.
mute it with that fart comment.
That means speed. That means speed.
There you go. Okay.
All right, we have an out of the box topic today. Movies set in a city, and this week's choice is San Francisco. A lot of movies made in
Really
San
good
Francisco.
setting for a movie.
Yeah, you get like Bullet.
Bullet is there. I thought Mr. Movie might take Bullet.
Yeah, the car chase through there.
There's another class there. Dirty Harry's there.
Yeah, Dirty Harry and the sequels. Moneyball.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Bay Area, Oakland.
That's Oakland,
Kind
Bay
of,
Area. But
Mrs. Doubtfire, yeah. Mrs.
Doubtfire was there, yeah.
That movie Pacific Heights with Michael Keaton, he's just such a creep. Oh God, he's like the tenant from hell.
That is a good. I haven't seen that.
They all use that same neighborhood. I don't know what that neighborhood is called, but you can see the same house from Mrs. Doubtfire in most of those movies.
The only neighborhood I'm using is, gentlemen, welcome to the Rock. I enjoyed this popcorn movie immensely. You got Sean Connery, you got Nicolas Cage, you got Ed Harris. I think this was probably a Bruckheimer movie because it has all the fast edits and pulsating music. I don't know who directed this, but I think Welcome to the Rock. I think the Rock is a blast, and I've always been fascinated by Alcatraz and that island. And my dad used to watch Escape from Alcatraz a lot, so I knew that movie well. So I'm going with the Rock.
I have never seen that movie.
What?
I've never seen it.
How?
I just haven't.
Oh, it's a
I
great
thought it was Dwayne Johnson.
That's a different Rock.
I haven't. What are they like? Are they in the prison?
Yes.
So it's set long ago?
No, it's the prison is a place where they're going to send they're launching nukes. Ed Harris and his team of renegade ex-military, and they have to be stopped by Nicolas Cage, who takes a break from rescuing the Declaration of Independence to come over and help with this, and help Sean Connery, who's taking a break from being 007. It all comes together.
Yeah, I think Sean Connery is the only person to ever escape, so they hire him to get back in.
That's right. I have to break into Alcatraz.
Wow.
Sounds ridiculous, but I'm sure you could make a good movie out of it. A lot of movies have a ridiculous premise. Okay, so I'm going way outside here. Mr. Movie, I'm not sure you've seen this one, but if you haven't, you're going to love it. Murph, I know you've seen it. You gave this to me. So this is it's set in a number of places, but one of them is San Francisco. But it is the documentary Winnebago Man, which we have laughed about and quoted literally since the moment we started watching it, I think. Chris Hassel loves this movie. Andrew loves this movie. Murph loves this movie. Have you seen this, Mr. Movie?
I've not seen it.
You got to see it. All right. So
it's so good.
Synopsis. It's really one of the early viral videos. Okay.
Yes.
In the 1990s, early 90s, maybe it's even 80s. A man named Jack Rebney, who you see in the picture here, is hired by Winnebago in Forest City, Iowa, to appear in a line of industrial commercials for Winnebago. They would play at trade shows and for company trainings. It wouldn't be like commercials on TV. But he has this good kind of broadcaster's voice, and he's a former broadcaster, former news director, it turns out. But he has this good broadcasting voice and a big vocabulary, so he sounds very smart in the commercials. But apparently, as he's shooting the commercials, this guy is a major league asshole. And he is such a dick to the whole production crew. And he's screwing up in between
so
takes.
profane.
He's messing up. He's melting down. He has just got the purplest language in the world. He's making life hell for the production crew. So they keep the outtakes and they leak them to get this guy. And this is, Mike, this is back in the day where it's like the only way you could leak it was put it on a VHS tape and give it to a friend and say, hey, give this to another friend, or make a copy and give it to a friend. So there were 50 generations of recordings by the time the would-be director of this documentary gets it. It's all grainy and everything, but he watches it, and like everybody else, he's just fascinated. He's like, who is this guy? Why is he so angry? And where can I find him now? And so he goes looking for him. And it turns out he's living like in the mountains, the woods of Northern California. And he's like half blind. He's alone. And it turns out to be a very interesting guy.
He's completely unaware that he's a known character.
No idea. And they break the news to him, and he doesn't believe them. They take him to so they shoot the documentary with him. They talk to him, and he ends up, he's just a guy that loves the sound of his own voice. He's like a caricature of a person. But they play this documentary at this famous movie theater in San Francisco, and it's like sold out for like 3 nights. There's so many fans that fly in to go to watch the documentary, and then Jack Rebney appears and does a Q&A afterwards.
It's a fun. It's only like 90 minutes. You got to watch it.
You'll love it, Mike.
What's it called?
Winnebago Man.
Winnebago Man.
Winnebago Man.
His voice will live in your head for all eternity.
So will the profanity.
You do me a kindness here.
Yeah, this guy needed a Coach Hutchison in his early life.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I could have been Jack Rebney. Mr. Movie, what do you have from San Francisco? Can't hear you again.
He muted himself again.
He was just right there.
Muting.
There you go.
Jeez.
Andrew, are you doing that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Might be the ghost of Jack Rebney.
Okay. I'm going to go with a little scene Will Smith movie, which back in the day didn't happen. Pursuit of Happiness. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
I haven't.
I've seen it a bunch of times.
Jenny is still not forgiven me.
I know it. It's not the happiest movie.
Oh, yeah. He's great in it.
It's an absolute. This is his best actor, isn't it?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. It's an absolute grind.
It is, but he's so
true
good
story.
and so endearing, and it is based on a true story about this guy who's taking care of his son, and things just don't go well for this guy. But it's an excellent drama, and it shows you Will Smith's ability to play in a drama back in the day when we thought he was just a comedian. It is hard to sit through, but it does show the guy's got some acting chops.
And it does have the pursuit of happiness. It does have a happy ending, but man, it lasts like 30 seconds. That I just wanted more. I mean, we watched him struggle for 2 hours. I just wanted a little more of let this nice, wonderful, determined man who did all these things to try to shield his kid from pain and suffering.
Well,
I want to see a little more happiness.
He screws up so many times, and he like screws up,
too.
fails hard. I mean, hard. Yeah. Hits the ground harder than probably any of us would. Hits it so hard. And when he does finally break through at the end, it is one of those movies that you can see it 10 times. It'll make you cry. It makes me cry every time.
Every time
I see it. It's such a release.
Todd is right. Nominated for happiness.
The guy.
He won for King Richard.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Will Smith won for King Richard.
So
after the slap.
Yeah. So geez. AD. San Francisco.
Yeah, I went with David Fincher film The Game. Sean Penn gets his older brother Michael Douglas into this game that like intertwines with reality and ends up screwing up his life. It's really kind of a screw with your head type movie.
I think this is a good suggestion especially for Fincher fans that may not know this, like my son Cade.
I feel like it's been
watch
lost
the
in
game
time for some reason.
So we should probably avoid spoilers here, but
Yes,
this is a fascinating movie.
I was going to say I won't give the ending away because it is fantastic. But yeah, I feel like it's been lost in time. Like a lot of people haven't seen this movie. It's one that I grew up with, so I've seen it a bunch of times. But when I bring it up to people, they haven't heard of it. But it's definitely worth watching. I really like this movie.
It is funny. I mean, you're talking San Francisco though, and you see Michael Douglas's face, and you immediately think, "Oh, he's going Basic Instinct."
Or Streets of San Francisco.
Yeah.
For those of us old enough to remember that show. Weekend box office, Jurassic World, $92 million in the United States alone. It had a huge worldwide opening. F1 is going to get to $500 million here worldwide pretty soon. So it is
heard
a
some people
monster
here
hit.
talking about F1 today.
But let's get to Jurassic World, which is, I don't even know how many sequels at this point. I haven't seen, the ones I've seen are nowhere near as good as the original, which is now 30-something years old. What about this one, Mr. Movie?
I wish I could tell you that it was a great film, but it's not. It's somehow there's some animals, if you will, dinosaurs, stranded on an island that nobody knew about.
Again.
It just keeps happening. So
they keep overlooking dinosaurs.
Pay attention to the dinosaurs.
My favorite part, and it gives nothing away, and I'm not sure other than product placement why it was in there, is there's some dinosaurs being worked on, and they're obviously high safety, security, except for one guy who wants to have a Snickers bar and then accidentally drops the Snicker wrapper and it gets caught in one of the electric doors, and that allows the animals to all be released. So talk about product placement.
Jeez.
Snickers bar caused this whole movie to happen. It was crazy.
Thank you, Stephen, for saying this is the 7th Jurassic Park movie. I do think this is the kind of series, if you could get a more creative director or could allow for better storytelling, more like Quiet Place, less like the same Jurassic Park over and over again. I mean, Spielberg in the first one, he got us. It was great, but then we haven't been back since.
I will tell you the special effects in this are beautiful. I mean, the dinosaur scenes, it looks like they're there. So it's that good, but you know, there's these monsters and there's 2 competing groups on the island. Fortunately, one has Scarlett Johansson, which will keep your attention for a little bit. But it's just, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, it was just okay. I mean, it's a B-, maybe C+ in that range. I wanted more.
You
go make a movie of a new book.
Yeah.
Come up with a new idea.
This is Spinal Tap.
Now,
God.
I'm assuming you guys have seen the original.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
So this is Rob Reiner. It's been 40 years. So he goes back to introduce this and show the movie. And I'm telling you, I laughed harder this time than I did the first time I saw it. It's just, and all of the people, Harry Shearer, Bruno Kirby, Christopher Guest, you know, there's just, you can go
Billy
down.
Crystal.
There's 20 people in this movie that you recognize they're still working today. So, I mean, to go back to 1984 and find those people had to be pretty tough.
Yeah, and it kind of saw into the future a little bit about how, you know, rock bands were not going to go away. They're just going to keep touring into old age and everything. It was it's such a sharp movie. What did you give the grade on the rewatch?
I gave it an A-. I laughed a lot.
So the new Spinal Tap, The End Continues. It's called, what is that, a September release?
I think so.
Yeah.
The End Continues.
I
can't wait for that.
I don't anticipate that's going to be good.
We'll tour again when hell freezes over. The Hell Freezes Over tour starts next week. Superman is coming back to theaters. This is James Gunn, right? And this does have good buzz.
Does it?
The reviews are good.
I've tried to stay away from those, but
yeah, I understand. Yeah, it makes sense for you.
looks,
the trailer did not make me want to run out and see it, but it's running at like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that's good. I'll see it this week.
Right.
He's a St. Louisan. There's a big promo push with Superman and the Gateway Arch.
The actor is from St. Louis.
Superman certainly isn't.
Yeah, I think it's the director that's from.
James Gunn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he did well with Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Till the last one.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Movie. Enjoy Superman.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Oh, you can mute yourself now. It's Mr. Movie, presented by P&P Small Engines. Running longer. Got to get Andy back to his vacation, but let's have a quick speed round of Throwdown.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns, backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Heartland Tire and Auto, a authorized dealer of both Firestone and Bridgestone tires. Andy, The Athletic put out a list of the top college football rivalries. The highest ranked rivalry involving one of our teams is Iowa-Wisconsin, despite the Hawkeyes' absolute ass-kicking of the Badgers last season. Do you agree that this is the top rivalry involving our teams?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that has a bigger footprint than the Iowa State rivalry. Involving another state. If it's just within one state, that state needs to be bigger than Iowa. It has an effect on the Big Ten West. These are two, football schools that, have big crowds who are way into this game. It's a very important game for the middle part of the country and one of the dominant conferences. Yeah. And Iowa State just they just don't have that same kind of thing. Kansas State, I think, would be their biggest comparison. And those are, just two smaller fan bases, I think, and that kind of weighs in a situation like this, like it or not.
The conference, being within the conference, does matter in the discussion, but this is an interesting question for two reasons, I think. One is I talked to my friend who went to Wisconsin, and he said this is a one-sided rivalry, that the Wisconsin fans do not think of Iowa as some heated rival at all. I know Hawkeye fans think of Wisconsin as a rival, but he said it is one-sided, and that most Hawkeye fans are unaware of that. Iowa State, if you're going to ruin somebody's fall, it's losing to Iowa State. I think within the state, that is a bigger rivalry in every way. I think there's still, from 30 years ago, some residual Hawkeye fans are condescending about it, like to admit that this is a rivalry, even though it's been 500 for the past 20 or 30 years. To admit that is somehow giving Iowa State status above little brother, and Hawkeye fans want to keep Cyclones as little brother. But I think most people in the state, it's a much more heated rivalry.
Murph, next week is the MLB All-Star festivities, followed by the WNBA's All-Star Weekend. Which of these are you more excited about?
Jeez. Well, Major League Baseball All-Star festivities have lost most everything. The Major League Baseball, I don't know which letters I said, but the WNBA All-Star Weekend is more interesting to me because of the person on the side of the hotel there. I want to see her in the three-point shooting contest. And last night when she traded Cheryl Reeve, who in Christine Brennan's book, Cheryl Reeve comes off as one of the absolute worst Caitlin Clark haters, and did everything she could to keep her off the Olympic team. So that was kind of fun and spicy last night. So yeah, this
interesting draft there too, right?
Yeah,
Aaliyah Boston,
smart move with Aaliyah Boston first, but we're rewarded
Asia
today
Wilson,
with that 19-point loss. Yeah. Brianna Stewart went before Wilson.
I agree. I excited is too strong a term. I'm more interested in the WNBA All-Star game.
Yeah, I agree.
Throw a little audible here. I'm wearing a new polo today, and I asked my wife, "Hey, how do you think this looks?" And she said, "Well, it'd look better if you unbuttoned that button." And I said, "Well, I'm not on a cruise ship. I'm working in an office." And I think I don't like this look. I think it looks way too casual.
You still got one button though.
She thinks I look too too prude when I'm buttoned up like this. I think this which one looks better. Which would you guys do? Do you button 1 or 2 buttons on your polo?
I would go with the look you have on right now. I never did like the full button-up Tiger Woods
that looks so
type
bad.
look. But Jenny will say the same thing as Judy. Like, let that button down there too.
I'm not trying to show chest hair.
I got to be careful about letting the chest hair out.
No, you gotta feel like you're almost on vacation at all times. Take that button down, Andrew.
You open it up.
You can.
All right.
I mean, you still got one button. You got the safety valve button there at the bottom, but you take that one down. Come on. Yeah.
Now it's time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Squared.
Powered by Game Day Men's Health. I'm going to the Ankeny location tomorrow, as I do each and every week. I talked to Brent Bloom there last week. You usually see Chris Williams around there. I know Andy goes to the West Des Moines location, so does Chad Leistico. Scott Doctorman's over in North Liberty. You go to one of these game days, you may see somebody from Iowa everywhere. There are a lot of reasons play is stopped in sports due to fan behavior, throwing things on the field, a streaker. In golf, it could be as simple as somebody just speaking loudly. But something happened at Wimbledon. I think this is my favorite stoppage of play due to fan behavior ever. Let me try to do this again. They changed the buttons on me here, and I'm all right.
Okay, there's Wimbledon.
There we
See
go.
Wimbledon.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you could avoid opening bottles of champagne when the players are about to serve.
Oh, come on. I love that. It's warm.
So yeah, listen to this again. You can hear
That's great.
Yeah, I was like, I felt like the video was the audio video were unsynced because it sounded like a serve, a tennis serve.
It did.
Come on. I love that. It's warm. It's the
That's
most
great.
Wimbledon warning you've ever heard.
Yes, it is.
That is great.
Quickie poll results are presented by WCI Pools and Spas.
Who holds himself less accountable? Our man Scott Frost or our man Steve Alford? God, we've had a lot of fun with these guys over the years, guys.
Yeah. Frosty the coach man is still my favorite.
Steve Alford. He's leading this one. 56% of the vote, 44% say Scott Frost. I voted for Frost, but I understand why people still have it out for Alford.
Andy, we'll check in with you
so
Friday.
much money. How did he make that much damn money?
$35 million Scott Frost made at Nebraska.
No, I mean, like Alford. He's still making money.
Oh, yeah.
And won shit.
Yeah. He's still going. Thanks for being part of Murph and Andy here on Iowa Everywhere, which was also in Copenhagen, which is Denmark, I'm told. If you get a chance, please like and subscribe. Andy, enjoy the rest of your time with family on a vacation/trip. We're back Friday. We hope you are too.
Murph and Andy was brought to you by Ramsey Subaru on Hickman Road in Urbandale.